So, in fact, most of the people know me that I'm a shrimp person, but I love invertebrates, freshwater invertebrates in general. But in fact, I had Malawi's for maybe 10 years. So, in fact, I'm a fish keeping guy as well. I promoted and I love shrimps for the moment. And now I'm starting with aquascaping. I just did release the book with Oliver Knott. Aquascaping it's more like for beginners. You probably will be bored with this book, but I also call this type of aquascaping popular aquascaping because the Japanese style that Amano is doing, most of the people are in front of the tanks and it looks amazing, but I never can do that. So this is not my intention. What I want is use stuff that you can buy everywhere, things that you can find everywhere, so people say, hey, I can do that as well, So this is what I'm doing at the moment. So let's talk shrimps. I saw that not too many of you have shrimps in the tank, right? So, but you're here for listen a little bit something of shrimps, so you can learn a little bit something. We have, I think, more than 100 species at the moment in the trade, more or less. But we have 3 different kinds. We have the dwarf shrimps, like Caridina, Neocaridina, Paracaridina, these types. Then we have the long-armed shrimps, the Macrobrachium, these guys that always eat your fish. I have been in Hong Kong, or was Singapore, I don't remember, in a shop, and they had one of these long-armed shrimps, Macrobrachium, these long cheilies, and they had a big cichlid swimming in a tank. It was a Haplochromis, something more like that, and in the corner they had one of these long-armed shrimps, and suddenly the long-armed shrimp took the fish and cut him in half. So, and this was a big one, So what happens with your guppies or your platies? They will eat 40 in one night. So this is what's happening. And you have the fan shrimps, the filter feeding shrimps. They're harmless, like the Molluscensis, Atuya. I think you call them bamboo shrimp. Yeah, exactly. That's how they call it in the States as well. So they are more or less harmless. So we have 3 groups, and I'm starting with the dwarf shrimps. Is that what you call them? So because they are the most popular, they are very harmless, so you can put them, in fact, in every little aquarium, in nano tanks, starting from 10 liters, starting from 5 liters if you want. And I think it started, if I remember well, it started with the Amano shrimp. Have you heard of that? And it was named because Takashi Amano, the Japanese crazy guy, he had them first in his tank. He put them in the tank. He said, well, I have my little Japanese guys that clean all the time the glass, so I will make the work more easy for them. I will put some shrimps inside and see how it's going. And they did the work pretty well. They cleaned very good in a short time, kept the aquariums clean. So that's how it started. And these guys, they conquered the world. And this is Caridina multidentata. It's a shrimp that comes from Japan. I've been there. I visited the habitat. The size is about, if they really grow up, is about, what is that? 20 centimeters? No, 6, 7, yeah, 6, 7 centimeters. But they can get as, I think, about 10 years old. So it's not like the other little shrimps that 2 years, it's over. 9, 10 years. This is what we know for the moment, because I have records from people that I sold shrimps in 2003 or 2004, and they still call me and say, hey, my shrimps are still alive. And this after, like 10 years. I mean, come on, it's very unusual for dwarf shrimps that they get that old. And here's a close-up of the Amano shrimp. And this is the habitat, how it looks like. They come from creeks or little rivers that are close to the sea, because they will not reproduce in your freshwater aquarium. This will not happen. The juveniles, or when they hatch, they got all washed to the sea, and then they spent some weeks there doing one round after other, and after they developed and had different larvae stages, then they go back and migrate up the river again. So in your aquarium, if it's a freshwater aquarium, they will not reproduce. You have to put them in brackish water or marine water, and then you have to feed the larvae extra. In fact, it's a bit difficult. Not too much, but a little bit. So you have to feed the larvae extra and add 30% of salt if you want to reproduce them. They are very popular. You can buy them everywhere. I saw you have lots of them. They do a very good job. This is the thing. They are algae eaters. So also with the aquascaping, we used, when we did this book with Oliver, in fact, in nearly every aquarium, we put Amano shrimps and then some snails. The Cliton diadema, you have them as well. They do the best job ever. So if you want to have somebody working for you for less, you hire these guys. And this is how the habitat looks like. Fast flowing creek. And you can find, I found there under the roots, under the stones, you can find 20, 30 of them sitting under the rocks, you know, because they hide because of the fish. There are also big fish there, so they always they try to hide. Let's go back. The water temperature, I forgot about that. It goes down to about 5-6 degrees in winter. So in fact, for my tanks, for my shrimp tanks in the past, I never used a heater, except Sulawesi, different. But for all the other dwarf shrimps, I don't use a heater. Bad for the industry, because EHAM will not sell any heaters anymore for nano tanks. But it serves me because I can spare some, don't listen, not good for you guys. I can spare some energy. Better spend in food and other things. That's much more sense. But in fact, you don't need a heater for them. I keep them all year round between 16 degrees, and the only problem is if it gets too warm. They don't like it when it gets too warm. So I have them between 16 and 24 degrees. In summer, this is the difficult thing, to keep the temperature low, because where I live sometimes get very warm. And this is the real problem, what the shrimps have problem. When the temperature of the water gets warm too quick, they don't like it. When it gets cold quick, they don't have a problem. I can tell you why. Because when it rains in Hong Kong, all the water goes immediately to the stream, and it's usually more cold. So that's why they adapted to that. But if it heats up very, very quick, they cannot have it. Because these little creeks, usually they are on the margins grow big trees or bamboo or stuff like that, and they keep it in like covered shadow, you know. So that's why also in Hong Kong, during the daytime in summer, the creeks are not that warm. I think 24 degrees was the highest we measured. And the more low temperature we measured was 16 degrees. And this was in March. So probably in January it was even more cold. So better keep them cool as too warm. This is what I can tell you about temperature.
For breeding.
In general, I would not, for breeding, probably 20 to 23, 24 degrees is okay. They're doing well. Yeah, but in general, I would say, hey, keep them more cool, because they like it better than having.
They breed okay.
They breed absolute okay, yeah. Depending on the species, for example, the bumblebee shrimps, Paracardina breviata, or all these kind of things, they like it with 18 to 20 degrees, yeah. If you have other shrimps, they like this is gone. Like the Cantonensis, the crystal red. Some people told me that they breed even with 26 degrees, you know, but I think that these are exceptions. Usually the average is 22, 24 degrees. We have probably some other components there in the water that also play a role with reproduction. We by far don't know everything about shrimps. The trend is a young trend. It's about 15 years that we keep shrimps. So for how many years we keep fish? 100 and more? Just the guppy had 100 years in the aquarium trade. So even I am busy a lot with shrimps, but even I would say I know that little about shrimps, even if I'm busy all the time. So don't expect of me that I know everything. You can ask me questions, I try to answer them. But nearly every year I discover some new things. When I talk to my friends here, they also have experience, and they tell me, hey, this happened to me. So it's not that there is just one thing. We always find out new things about them. It's very interesting. And I think one of the things why shrimps are so popular is because of these guys. You have seen them, right? The crystal red shrimp. And as far as we are working on this shrimp, we think it's an undescribed species. So I went to Hong Kong to find the locations, because for a long time this location have been secret. Nobody knew, because the wholesalers from Hong Kong, they didn't want that the people go there and catch them themselves, because out of this little creek, they sold shrimps for a couple of $1 million, US dollars, just of 3 creeks. Because in Hong Kong, we found, I was one of the first, in fact, I was the first white person to be on this creek. I can show you this creek later. Out of these 3 little creeks, really little, they took out a couple of $1 million of dollars. So they didn't want that the people go there. And one Japanese guy went there, and after that, they poisoned the whole stream. So everything was dead. So some shrimps from the other creek had to be put in the other creek to reproduce again. So this is the politics. So you see, it's in fact, it's crazy. You know, it's crazy. This is what they did. But this is the politics. And this is how they look like in nature. You can find very rarely a red and white one. This happens also. But this is how they look like. This is a nice one. I picked a nice one to photograph. But also in nature you can find some like that. It's Caridina cf cantonensis. But like I said, it's probably undescribed, and we are working in it at the moment, and we'll probably will have a new name very soon. I have been there a couple of times in Hong Kong just to find out more about these shrimps. This is the most popular one. And here I have a little movie. I hope it's the right one about the habitat. Let's see. Yeah. So you guys have an impression how it looks like in these places. This is just a couple of minutes out of Hong Kong, and it looks already like that. We had to walk for 3 hours to find the stream through the bush, through that. And if you do that for 3 hours, you are done. And I had my camera, I had my stand and everything. I was like, and this is a secret path, though just a few people knew about it. And then we arrived to this place, very hidden. And here you can find the ancestors of the crystal red shrimp. The water temperature was 16.5 degrees Celsius, kind of cool. And you don't see any plants, you don't see any water plant there. You have bamboo leaves, that's it. And this was about 500 meters from the sea. But these guys reproduce in freshwater, even if the sea was so close. And a lot of people are hiking in Hong Kong. Everybody's going out for hiking. So the hikers told me about this creek, because I was in Hong Kong and they didn't want to tell me, the wholesaler didn't want to tell me where the creek is. So I started, okay, let's see. Maybe I should ask some hikers if they've seen. And they have been the guys who told me, yes, we said. I was very lucky. This is how it looks underwater. It was very hard to film because it was not very deep, so I had to put my whole equipment underwater. And let's see. You see them? The black and white. Of course, not everybody is nicely colored. There's a bright variation of coloration. Also a fish here that eats the juveniles. So, but not too many fish, otherwise no shrimps. The problem is, here you see them, here. And all the day they eat microorganisms from the leaves. That's how they feed. The problem is the density was not that high, because already the wholesalers took out a lot, and they still go there and catch them every week. So it's not easy that they reproduce again, because it's a lot of takeout. It was not easy to film. Like I said, the water, if it's just that deep, how you want to... And a lot of mosses underwater. Yeah. And then you can see very well the black and white shrimp. I mean, it's very like you can spot them immediately. And the posters you have already. I have a new book coming out, Freshwater Invertebrates in English. So I hope I can support the market a little bit with this and help you guys understand a little bit better. And this was sponsored by the Logeman brothers, who have this new salt. Have you seen that salt? This is very good stuff. I can really recommend it. If you want to grow shrimp, it will help you a lot. It's not because the guys are my friends, but they are really doing good quality stuff. So you take a look at that stuff. I think some of you have experience already with the salt, right? You're happy? Salt. Yeah, it's a mineral salt. And this helps the shrimps. For example, you put just osmosis water because it's probably the best, and then you add the salt. But the salt is not for the shrimps themselves because they hardly can use it. The salt is for the bacteria and the environment. So the bacteria feel well, and then the shrimps feel well, because the bacteria is the biggest problem if you have shrimps. They are responsible for 90% of the losses when it comes to shrimps. And that's why the salt is good, but not directly. Minerals and stuff like that, the shrimps take these kind of things from the food. This is the important thing, and not if you put it in the water and the water dissolves it or whatever, and the shrimp will take it. It's not true. The shrimps take it with the food and not through the water, but it's good for the whole environment. We have a lot of different red bee shrimps in the trade. Guess how much was the high-priced shrimp that was sold in Japan? What do you think? How much is your car? How much is your car? 30,000. Okay, it's too expensive. let's see. Oh, now I have to be careful. How much is yours?
I don't have one, but I imagine.
Bicycle. Yeah, 10,000. It was sold for 9,990 euros for a shrimp that lives 2 years. 2 years. And probably this guy was already 1 year old. But they are like concentrated in red bees, and they try to have a good density in the color. We have different kind of grades, and they go like from, the Japanese had the system with S, SS, SSS, SSSS. Nobody can understand that, sorry guys. So we introduced more like K0, K2, K4, and the higher that goes, the better is the quality. Because if you come with SS, SSR, this sounds for me a bit more like World War II, you know, the SS. So I don't have a good, you know, I don't have a good feeling with that. I don't have a good feeling with, hey, I have SS shrimps. How does that sound? Don't sound good to me. So we decided we change it and go more like K0, K2, K4. Also more easy to understand because you can follow that. If you have SSSR, what is that? So we have different kind of grades. And that is the quality of the shrimps. The more dense and the more the red is more bright, the more money they cost. So here, for example, we have a shrimp. You can see that with white and the red marking on the head. Probably this in that times this was really expensive because it's like the Japanese flag. And when the Japanese guys see Japanese flag, they go like this and they pay the money. So here, for example, this, you see it? Very expensive. Now the prices went a little bit down, so it's more reasonable now. You see something? Okay, you can see that blue eye? It will be a blue-eyed shrimp. Very expensive. No. This is better. And there you can see the little faces of the little guys. And she carry about, let me see, what is it, maybe 30 larvae. And they will hatch, depending on water temperature, in about 3 weeks. And here from the side, and this is how they work with them. They always clean them so they don't get any fungus or whatever. They take very much care of them. This is they call it the Maro 10 points. This is something, you know, that is a marking and also a quality sign. And these ones I called, in fact, it's a crystal red as well, but I called them super crystal red. And as soon as I called them super crystal red, the price went up 500%. Really, no joke. Because in the past, these shrimp, they started with this shrimp, and then everybody wanted to have more white because the people said, hey, we want to have more white density and this and that. So everybody went for the white shrimps, and they neglected these ones. So after a while, they had nearly disappeared from the market, the red ones. And then I said, hey, what's happening? And I gave them a new name, just like a grade. And then suddenly, boom, they costed 20 euros instead of €1. Incredible. But this is probably the way it goes.